Hi, it's Mel with We Can Code It. I'm continuing my series on helping you out with some common programming test and or interview questions you might see. And again, the purpose here is not to tell you a particular answer. This is not a cheat sheet, folks. This is to walk you through so that you have a really clear understanding of different programming concepts and feel confident that you can get through some of these challenges on your own. So as we go through these type of challenges, I'm going to be explaining concepts to you. In this challenge, we are at indiabix.com, Java Programming, Operators, and Assignments. You'll notice this is written in Java. I could tell because the system out print line pretty much says it all. Plus, obviously, it says Java Programming here. The language here, we're going to translate this over from Java into C# so that both Java and C# students at We Can Code It have an understanding of what's going on. You'll notice most of the items remain the same. There's only a few things in this that we will be altering to make it ready for C#. So the first thing I'm going to do is just copy and paste this into my IDE, which is Visual Studio. And Visual Studio, I have a project open that's a console application using C#. So it's going to yap at me a little bit. I'm going to address two concerns between Java and C#. First of all, main in Java is lowercase. Main in C# is uppercase. Remember, main is the front door to our program. It's where it starts when somebody runs it. The other thing I'm going to change here is system out print line, which is Java. This translates to system console.writeLine in C#. Pretty simple, and you probably guessed that. It's not that difficult. And that's it. The rest of it remains the same, and we can get the same results here. So let's go take a look at this problem. This problem is related to logical conditional OR statement right here. And prefix and postfix notation, and it wants you to tell it what the result will be at the end of the program. So the result's going to be something that is printed out in this case, either system.console.writeLine in C# or system.out.println in Java. And what we're going to do is walk through this program. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's start at main. Lines 9 and 10 are simply initializing two integer variables, x and y, to the value of 0. That's all we're doing. So we're initializing two variables. The scope of these variables, they're within the main method here. And so the scope starts where they're initialized, declared and initialized, and it ends right here at the body. So just to bring in scope for you guys. Scope is within the body that the variable is declared in. Okay. Line 11, we have a for loop. I'm going to go over quickly again the parts of a for loop. We have the initializer. In most cases, this is a counter. You might not see anything here. That's legal too, but in most cases, we use it as an initializer. So we're initializing this counter-esque variable, right? Z to 0. Then you have the conditional statement. This will be run before each iteration of the loop. And then we have the updater, which is run before the loop iterates again. So right before the conditional statement is run. I always think of the updater being run right about here. That's how I visualize it at least. So let's go ahead. So initialize this Z to 0. This is done once and only once at the beginning of the loop. Done. Okay, it's 0. Is 0 less than 5? That's the next step here. Yes, it is. True. So we hop inside the body of our for loop and continue evaluating the expressions and statements. Line 13, we have an if statement. This if statement is has an or in it. So we're combining left or right statements. One of these statements must be true. One of these conditions must be true. Only one, not more than one, just one of any of these statements must be true in order to hop on in order for the condition to be true and to get inside the body of the if statement. Those are the rules, okay? So let's evaluate here. We start with since we have two sets of statements in parentheses. We hop over to the left. Cool. Okay, and we evaluate this prefix operator right here. If you haven't seen my previous video on prefix and postfix, I'll go over it really quickly with you here. Basically, when you see prefix and postfix notation, they are evaluated two different ways. When you have it as a single line just with one statement in it, it's not a big deal. Plus plus z and z plus plus pretty much the same thing. But when you have it combined in a statement with other operations, for example, this checking this condition that the left side is greater than the right side here, we have to do it in two steps. The first step for a prefix is adding, in this case 1, adding 1 to x, and then moving towards the other operation, which would be greater than. So we add 1 and then evaluate if it's greater than. If this were postfix, we do it the other way. So these are two steps, okay? You check to see if x is greater than 2, and then you add 1 to it. Got it? That's the difference between prefix and postfix. You just, given any statement that has especially more than one item here, it depends, the order of operation changes because prefix and postfix notation are really two different things that are two different steps in the process. Prefix will add 1 to x before it continues evaluating other expressions. Postfix will do the other operations first and then come back and add 1 to x. Cool? Okay, we have prefix here. We're adding 1 to x. X is now 1. Is 1 greater than 2? No. Because this is an or statement, either of the left or the right need to be true, not both. So we go ahead and evaluate the right. We want to see if this is true. You do a plus plus x, y. Y is now 1. Is 1 greater than 2? False. Since neither of the items are true, we hop on out of that if statement. Notice we hit the end of our for loop. So we're going to just make a little note for ourselves here to keep track of our variables. X is 1 here, y is 1, and z is 0 because we haven't incremented yet. Now we're going to increment z because we're at the end of this loop. So z is now 1. Let's check the condition. Is 1 less than 5? That's true. So we go inside our for loop. Let's run this if statement again. Plus plus x. X is now 2. Is 2 greater than 2? That's false. Or, because it's an or, either one can be true. Okay? Doesn't have to be both. Plus plus y. Y is now 2. Is 2 greater than 2? That is false. We do not go inside the loop because neither of them are true. Let's make a note for ourselves. X equals 1. Notice this is a comment. I'm just writing it down for my own purposes. I'm sorry, X is 2. I shouldn't talk and type and program at the same time, but that's okay. We'll get it here. Everything's 2. X and Y are 2, and Z is still 1. Now we increment Z. There we go. We increment z by 1, so z is now 2. Is 2 less than 5? True. So let's go in here. Let's do the conditional. Plus plus x. Plus plus x. X is now 3. Is 3 greater than 2? Is 3 greater than 2? Yes, it is. Now, because we have a true statement here, it's true, and an or, do I need both of them to be true or just one? The answer is just one. Because we already have our 1 that is true, I don't need to continue evaluation. I don't need to jump over here and do this side. And indeed, the program doesn't do that either. Your computer doesn't assess it that way either. It knows that we have a true condition and we don't need to save to do the right-hand side because we've already marked this as, yes, we're good to go with this if statement. One of these things is true. So it short circuits. It doesn't actually run this side of the statement. Why? It wants to save resources and time, okay? So it goes into the if statement. So we added 1 to x here, but we did not add 1 to y because it did not run this right side of the equation, okay? Didn't need to. So we incremented x by 1, and we also go into the if statement, which increments x again by 1. So at the end of the day here, then we hop out of it. Let's write our results. X equals 4. Y still equals 2 because we didn't touch it. Z equals 2. Good? Okay, now let's keep going. Let's add 1 to z. Z is now 3. Is 3 less than 5? That's true. Let's hop into here. Let's plus x. So now x is 5. 5 is greater than 2. We don't need to execute or evaluate this side of the statement because we short circuit it. Okay, so x is 5. We go into the if. X is now 6 because we say x plus plus, and we hop out here. X equals 6. Y is still 2. Z is now 3. Now we add, we're at the end of our for loop, so we add 1 to z. So z is now 4. Is 4 less than 5? True. So we go into our for loop. Let's run this again. Plus x. Plus x. X is now 7. 7 is greater than 2. We don't need to run this side of the equation again because we already have one of these conditions is true. Okay, so x is 7. Now we go into the if statement. X is now 8. We're out of the if statement. And let's mark our results because we're at the end of the loop. X is 8. Y is 2. Z is 4. Okay, now we're at the end of our for loop right here. Let's add 1 to z. Z is now 5. Let's check our condition is 5 less than 5. That is false. Because it is false, we exit the for loop. So we exit right here. And it goes to system console write line or system out print line, depending on if you're in Java or C#. And we write the values of x and y with a space in between. So the result should be 8, a space, and 2. Let's run it. Let's execute this program to see if that is indeed the result that the computer came up with. Yes, it is. Excellent. Now let's triple check. We're going to say it's B, 8 and 2. Let's view our answer. And indeed it is. All right. I hope this short video explained prefix and postfix notation to you, as well as short circuiting, or you'll also hear lazy evaluation. So how we short circuit and different or conditional operators. All right. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.